Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. We do have Paula Johnson here from the Chicago Ridge Library, who is going to present a workshop today on some different activities that you can do with your children to help them with reading. So just a couple of instructions just before we get started. Thank you so much for all joining us today. I'm going to ask that everybody mute themselves during the presentation, just so we don't have a lot of background noise and that we can hear Paula. So if you could just mute yourself, and then at the end, Paula's going to leave time for questions, or if you have a question, you can unmute yourself to ask the question or make a comment. Additionally, we are recording this workshop so that if there are parents that were unable to attend today, that they can watch it later on our YouTube channel. So that link will be sent home or posted on Dojo for you. Finally, one of the most important things, please make sure that after you attend today that you contact your child's teacher and let them know that you attended this workshop so that you can get credit for it. That's the only way that we will know who attended. So please make sure you either reach out and let them know in person, or that you send them an email or a Dojo that you attended the library workshop today. In the chat box, you can see, if you click on the chat, there are 3 files that we shared with you, and those are all materials that Paula is going to use today and refer to today during her presentation. So you all have access to that too. You can copy them and save them to your computer, or you can print them out. Okay, so with that, I am going to turn it over to Paula.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this morning. As Peggy said, my name is Paula Johnson, and I have been a Youth Services Associate at Chicago Ridge Public Library for 7 years. Before that, I taught preschool for 13 years, both 3-year-old preschool and 4-year-old preschool. I enjoyed that very much, but I also enjoy my job at the library very much, because part of my job is finding perfect materials for children and parents. And I hope that part of my job is to instill a love of reading in children. Just to let you know some informational things, if you can use Chicago Ridge Library anytime. You don't have to live in Chicago Ridge to use the library, but if you do, that's fine. You can get a library card here. If you have a library card from somewhere else, you're able to pick out materials. And once your child turns 3, if you have a library card, they are able to get a library card. So some of the benefits for signing up or coming into our library, I should say, is to sign up for different reading programs that we have. We have all different kinds of materials available. We have puzzles, we have games, we have ABC mouse on our computers. Those are just to name a few. We also have take-home crafts that you can come in, grab and go and do those at home. The reading programs are available to everyone, and they are free, and they are a lot of fun. And again, you do not have to be a resident to use our library and to use our materials. Today, we're going to talk about reading and how you can help your child develop a love of reading. Reading should be fun and enjoyable. And like I said before, our goal here is to find a book that your child enjoys, something that interests them. We want them to be lifelong readers. You as a parent have a very, very important job as your child's first teacher. You know, everything you say and do, they're like little sponges, and they're taking everything that you show them and everything that you say to them. They're taking that in and they're processing that. So good job, parents. This week is Read Across America Week with the theme of Play with Stories. So some of the activities I'm going to show you are hopefully kind of fun and kind of playful. And these are some things that you can do at home to help your child. When working with your child, you want to always try to remember to work from left to right and top to bottom. And you're going to hear that over and over and over and over again. You as a parent, you're helping your child understand that pictures and symbols have meaning, whether those symbols are letters or numbers. Those are very important skills, and those are some of the very first readiness skills that your child will have for school. The first thing that you can do is to help your child recognize their first name. So I have made some name cards very simply. You can use a piece of paper, you can, use construction paper, but just the name Sam. Okay, so I printed it starting with an uppercase S, lowercase a, lowercase m. Now, oftentimes children will see the S and they'll think, oh, everything that starts with S is my name, Sam. That's not the case. They need to start looking at the second letter and then the third letter. So just anything that you can do to help them recognize their name. So as I said, you're naming the letters S, A, M. You can also help with the sounds S, A, M, S, A, M, Sam. And that would be your goal, is to work with these three letters and finding them over and over and over again. You can look into magazines and play I Spy. Can we find all the S's on this page? Can we be in the car and we're stopped at a stoplight? Can you look around and see if there are any S's on any of the signs around us? Just as much emphasis as you can to finding the letters in their first name. So once they, are able to recognize their first name and recognize the letters in their first name, you can move on to their last name. So this is something that is important to them. And knowing their name is important, and recognizing those letters. So as far as printing, I can give you some hints to printing when you want them to start printing their name. So part of the battle is to have the proper grip. So you want them to take their pointer finger and their thumb, and you're going to have them pinch. I always say pinch the pencil, and then you take your middle finger and you put it underneath as a chair, and that is the proper grip for printing. If they have difficulty with that, sometimes you can rubber band 3 crayons together and it makes like a triangle. I don't know if you can see that very well. And that way they have no choice but to grip that properly. And this makes some really cool swirls and things, and they can write their name with 3 different colors, which is really fun. A little trick when printing, you always want to, like I said, start at the top and work to the bottom, start at the left and go to right. So C is a very important letter because you can make many different letters out of the letter C. So we have C, we have A. I don't know if you can see that. I think I need a thicker marker. A. E. D. G. And Q. Is that visible? Somewhat sloppy. So those are some tricks that you can use as far as letter printing. You can play all kinds of games with letters. The ABC Dominoes looks like this. You're going to cut on the solid lines to make the domino game and not on the dashed lines. So I actually printed my dominoes on colored paper so that they look like this. And then depending on how many players you have, you just deal all the cards out equally. And then you're basically, looking for different matches. It's a lot of fun for them to do, and the siblings can play with them. You can play with them, mom and dad, friends, cousins, what have you. So they can just match them up, say like this or like this. So that's one fun game that I have. Another thing that might help them with printing their letters, I took the second group, the ABCs for readiness, and I cut them up really, really small. And I put the uppercase letters on a paper plate like this, and it just in random order. So all the uppercase letters are there. And then I glued the lowercase letters to a clothespin. So that way you can play a matchup game like so. So that's something fun for them. Another thing, if you decide to make those clothespins, or if you just have the little letter cards that you cut out from the ABC for readiness, you can take the card, or you can take the clip like I have, the clothespin clip, and you can clip it on a tray and fill your tray with sand or flour or just anything like dirt. And then they can practice writing the letters in the sand. I don't know if you can see. It's hard to, so, and then you just shake it and you can try a different letter. So they enjoy that. And plus it has the tactile feel to it. So, when they are writing, you want to have them use their dominant hand to hold the pencil or the crayon, and their non-dominant hand will be their helping hand, and that will hold down the paper or whatever they're working on. As I said, playing I Spy, you can do that with books, you can do it with magazines, newspapers, all of those different things. Just so you're aware, it is very common for children to sometimes write their letters upside down or backwards. That is very common. It is not unusual. And I don't want you to be alarmed by that. As a preschool teacher, we saw it all the time. Trust me, they didn't go on to high school writing their letters backwards or upside down. The most common letters that they will tend to mix up are B as in boy, D as in dog, or P as in penguin. The other two letters, the capital letters that they tend to mix up, are W and M. Those are just very, very common. And it's not unusual for other letters to fall through the cracks too, but like I said, with gentle reminders, they will have no problems with it later on in life. One thing you can do, label everything to your child, point out different things to them as you're going through your day. Even with, everyday things, this is a pencil, this is a marker. These are scissors. These are clothespins, those types of things. One thing that will help your child with their grip and also with their cutting, if you see that they're having a hard time gripping things, the more things that they can do with this pinching action or with this action will help strengthen their hand so that they can print and write. I'm a big fan of tongs and having them pick up things with tongs. Maybe they're helping you sort the socks, the clean socks. They can put them from one basket to the other, or they can lay them out on the clean socks out on the counter and take and match each sock. But this action is really, really important. And you'll see that action is repeated, these fingers, when they're cutting. And that's another thing to let you know, always thumb up for counting, and then the pointer finger goes down so that they're cutting this way. Just a little hint there. So when you read to your child, and I hope all of you are reading every day, it's important that they're seeing you read and that you're reading together sometimes. So seeing you read a magazine or a newspaper, that is so important. I can't stress that enough. But when you're reading, they're learning the skill that, oh, this is the front of the book. It doesn't go this way. It goes this way. We start at the beginning, not at the end. I mean, these are things that we take for granted because we've been doing it for so long, but it's really, really important that you read to your child and that they're learning these skills. You can, ask your child, what do you think this book might be about? From the cover. Well, I see some barnyard animals. I see some farm animals. Well, here's the title, Barnyard Dance. What do you think that might mean? So asking them questions, engaging them. Or you can ask after reading a page or two. So what happened? Can you tell me what happened? Maybe after finishing the story, can you tell me in your own words what happened in the story? Or can you tell me what happened at the beginning of the story, what happened in the middle of the story, and what happened at the end of the story? You can help them sound out words as they go, just like we did with Sam. Which brings me to another point. You have on your chat a list of pre-K sight words. And these are high frequency words that appear a lot in stories and in print. Think about how many times you have seen the word the or and when you're reading. These just become automatic to them. They don't need to sound them out after a while. They become memorized words and they're high frequency. What you can do with those words, can do that actually with the letters or any of these things, is to cut out circles of paper and write either all the letters, a different letter on each circle, or write a different sight word on them and put them down on the floor and ask them to jump on the word the, step on the word and, hop on the word the. So that's a fun game. As the weather gets nicer, you could go outside and you could draw circles or squares or whatever, and you could write the words in the different circles and squares, and they can, learn their letters, words, sight words that way. That's a lot of fun. And that way they're outside too, and they're being active, and it is fun. Sequencing, putting things in order, rhyming things, singing songs, predicting outcomes, memory games, getting back to the ABCs for readiness. If you wanted to print out 2 sets of these, you could, take a few at a time, several sets or 2 sets of the letters, and you could play a memory game, put them all face down. I would probably only start with maybe half, or maybe even just the letters in their first and last name. So that's another fun activity you can do. This, you can also play the matching game. Can you find what letter this starts with? I found a lowercase t. Can you find the uppercase t? So those are all different things you can do. Opposites, when you're talking to your child and exploring different things. We're going out. Now we're coming in. Can you put this on top of the counter? Can you put this underneath the counter? Can you turn the light on? Can you turn the light off? Near, I am very near to you right now. I step away, I am far away from you. I am large, you are small. Big, little, quiet, loud, soft and hard, under and over. So all those opposite words are very important, and they're fun things that you can do. You can play games with those as well. So I mentioned reading books together, how important that is. Also letting your child see you read books. Going to the library, everything here as far as materials, they are free. Our programs are free. Our books are free to check out. Playing ABC Mouse on the computer is free. So if you want to come in and sign up for any of the reading programs, there's different prizes that they can win, and those are free. Singing in the car, that's another fun thing. Or singing while you're walking home from school or to school. Cooking together, now that's a big one. Of course, you'd have to read the recipe, but having them follow a set of directions. This is what we need to do first. This is what we need to do second. This is what we do third. Just following those steps, that's sequencing. So that's a fun thing to do together. Cutting and pasting. Can they cut out the letters of their name from a magazine or a sale ad? That's another way that they can see their name in print. Naming and labeling. What is it? What color is it? If you go to the zoo, what animal is this? Well, what letter do you think that animal starts with? So those are fun things to do. Using crayons when they're coloring. That's one of my big things. I know they love colorful markers, but markers, as long as they're not dried out, will make a mark no matter what. Whereas a crayon, they have to use some of the strength and some pressure. Appropriate pressure will help them with writing their letters. That's why coloring is so important. Some of the books that I think are kind of fun, if you're looking for something fun to read with your child, this Barnyard Dance, just because it has a lot of movement and actions, like stomp your feet, clap your hands, and that you can do together. Bow to the horse, bow to the cow, twirling. So that's an activity that they can be doing while you're reading. And you can do that together or as a family. Eric Carle's From Head to Toe. This is a great one because it talks about the different parts of different animals and parts of the body. I'm a giraffe and I bend my neck. Can you do it too? So they can bend their neck. Going on a bear hunt. This one's a pop-up and it has some really fun sounds like, let's go back here. Going on a bear hunt, we're going to catch a big one. What a beautiful day. We're not scared. Oh, grass, long wavy grass. We can't go over it. We can't go under it. Oh no, we've got to go through it. Swishy, swashy, swishy, swashy, swishy, swashy. And it pops up. So what a fun read is that? Very enjoyable. So those are just a few of my favorite books to start them off. Other things that you can do is I talked about colors. So back to my clothespins. We have the clothespins with the different colors on, and they can match this up. This is something that I did with a readiness program years ago. So I'm going to try and find it, and maybe I can share this with Peggy if I do run across it again. But it's something that would be very easy to make. And it doesn't even have to be a circle like this, or you could maybe take a paper plate and divide it up and color in different sections. So that would be fun. When they are learning to write, tracing is kind of an important skill. So again, I like to collect plastic lids of various sizes, and they can use their helping hand to hold it down and then use their pencil or their crayon to trace around it. So that's a fun one. Or tracing their hands. You know, if you don't have plastic lids, tracing their hands. And these are all skills that work together. It's not just reading, but reading, fine motor skills, gross motor skills. It's the whole child developing. You're not just focusing on one thing, you're focusing on the entire child. They may focus more on fine motor for a little bit themselves and get really good at fine motor, and maybe they're having a difficult time with hopping or jumping, but then that'll come along. It's not just fine motor, just not reading, it's all interconnected. There's social development. You know, can your child sit and listen to a story? That's why I encourage reading at home, because what are they asked to do at school? They're asked to sit and listen for a time period, aren't they? Just as all of you are sitting and listening right now. Thank you for that. You know, are they able to wait their turn to be called upon in class? Are just different skills like that. Do they help clean up? You know, they may help put their dishes away. So at school, they may need to help clean up for lunchtime or clean up after lunchtime. You know, so having them have chores at home, and I know you're probably saying, well, what does this have to do with reading? But it really is the whole child, because if they are, you know, learning all of these skills, it really helps them in school to attend. Setting the table, that's an important skill that you can do as far as counting. You know, how many people are in our family? How many forks do they need? How many spoons do we need? How many napkins do we need? You know, so, and that's interconnected again because of the correspondence with symbols. The numbers have meaning, just as letters have meaning. The letters in their first name, the letters in their last name. Just the words on the page. These letters work together to form words. These numbers work together to have meaning, and they represent things. What else was I going to share with you? I talked about the physical development and the gross motor and the fine motor. So give your child as many opportunities as you can to play outdoors. That's why I like the idea of not just doing this inside. I mean, granted, it's kind of cold to be outside today, but tomorrow is going to be beautiful. But just what opportunity is there as far as, you know, taking the sidewalk chalk and writing the sight words all over the sidewalk or all over the driveway, and having them step on, find the word the, find the word and, you know, not just maybe stepping on it. Can you jump on it? Can you hop on it? Can they catch a ball. That's a skill that they can work on. Can they skip? Do they climb? I talked about the scissors. Just as many different things as you can expose them to is wonderful. I just wanted to review that once, I'm jumping all over the place. I'm sorry about that. Once they have mastered their first name, then you go on to their last name. I don't think I mentioned that earlier, but it's really important to have a mastery of the first name and then the last name. So, let's see. Mentioned if one thing that has come up, sometimes your children has difficulty deciding on a dominant hand, especially around this age, because I've had that question come up multiple times. Most children will decide on one hand or another. You will notice when they're eating or drinking, which hand do they mostly use, and then try to reinforce that hand. If your child is left-handed, one thing that you can do while helping them write, because sometimes if you're not left-handed yourself, it's difficult to teach them how to print their letters correctly. If you sit across from them, it's a little easier than sitting next to them with printing. And I know that sounds wild because you're looking at things upside down, but that way your handedness is the same as theirs, if that makes sense. So let's see. So lastly, I wanted to mention that this summer, our summer reading program starts June 6th at Chicago Ridge Public Library. It is going to be a lot of fun. We're coming up with programs as we speak. And the theme of it is Read Beyond the Beaten Path. It's kind of a camping theme. So we're going to try to have some activities that are outside, such as story times, maybe even like a young artist program outside where they might be using things in nature. And again, this program is free. I wanted to open this up to any questions you might have. Does anyone have questions? As far as printing or books or using the library? Not at this time.
Paula, thank you though. Those were really great suggestions. I was writing some of them down to use with my own son when I go home. So those are really good examples.
The one thing, if you don't have access to a printer, I did forget to mention this earlier, sorry. I'm used to doing things in person still, I know. So I was a little jumbled finding things on my desk area, even though I thought I had it all organized this morning. But if you don't have access to a printer, at least you can look at the letters and you can write them. You don't have to cut them out. But again, they should be in random order. And then if you don't have clothespins, just simply do a matching. Or if you wanted to put the different, like the apple on the back, and then you can, match up the different things like the apple, the ball, or the cat, and match up the letter that way. So they can be glued on the back.
There's a message, there's a question in the chat about thanking you for all your suggestions and asking if there's any way that they could get a list of your most recommended books for that age level, for the preschool age level.
Oh, sure. I would be happy to.
So if you send that to me, then I can make sure that I post that or forward it on to parents.
Absolutely. You know, I have my favorites. Your children will have their favorites. Like with the ones that I just mentioned, I like these because there's a lot of movement involved and your child can get up and, you know, I'm kind of contradicting myself, you know, sit and read with your child, but you don't want it to be a chore. You want it to be fun. And as long as it's a book that they enjoy, you know, let's say your son likes Spider-Man. Well, we'll see if we can find a Spider-Man book, or your child likes dinosaurs. So I will try to get a variety of age-appropriate books that you can read with your child. We also have a section that are easy readers when your child is learning how to read, that they have a lot of the high frequency words and they're words that are easily sounded out. And we also have a section that has bright readers. So those are our beginning books too. Very few words on a page, and very, very reading readiness friendly. But if you're looking for a list of fun books, I'm happy to do that. But I can include in that all the different things that we have available for this age group.
Yeah, it sounded like several parents were saying that they would be interested in that on the chat. Somebody also mentioned that you can use crushed unsweetened cereal for your kids to write their letters in. And then
that's a good one.
There's
or
another,
sprinkles.
Oh, sprinkles. That's a great idea. Do you recommend working on letter sounds more so than sight words, or a combination of both?
My thought is I would always want to start with their first name. That is the very, very first thing. So the letters in their first name, the sounds that those letters make, finding those letters around them, newspapers, magazines, and then moving on to their last name. The letters in their last name, printing their last name, finding those letters. And then after that, then I would start focusing on the high frequency words, the sight words, if that makes sense. First and foremost, their name. Because they hear that so often and they're going to make that connection. Oh, my name is Sam. This is what my name looks like. S-A-M. And they've already heard it and now they're seeing it. So that really helps to make that connection and that association that letters have sounds and words have meaning. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay.
We have another question about how do you help your child to sit and listen during a story, because sometimes they get bored and refuse to sit and participate.
Oh, that's a good one. So I always try to remember that their attention span is generally a minute for each year that they are old. So if you're talking about a 3-year-old, they have about a 3-minute attention span. If they're a 4-year-old, they have a 4-minute attention span. So maybe you're not going to get through the whole book. Maybe you're going to get through a couple of pages. And that's okay. That's absolutely okay. That's why, you know, if maybe you're reading a couple times throughout the day, okay, let's start this story now and later on we'll finish it. Or maybe we'll read a page every night and just try to increase that time just a little bit in small increments each day. Or find something that they very much enjoy. If you sit and read with me for 4 minutes, we are going to do, we're going to play on the computer, or we're going to go outside and go to the park, or, whatever they find very rewarding, use that as a reward. Try not to use food, but find other activities that they enjoy very much and say, oh yes, we can do that activity, but we need to read this first. Someone had a really good, if they're picking out books that they're interested in, it definitely helps. Thank you. Very good point. Thank you for sharing that. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you and your child find books that they're interested in, or find books that they find fun or enjoyable. It sometimes makes it just a little bit easier. Do we have any other? Make him sit when reading. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to mention too, it's okay too if they're moving around sometimes and listening. They're taking it in still, believe it or not. I don't want to make this about me, but my middle child, who's now 25, aging myself here, so it sounds like I've been around since the dinosaur age. He could never sit still. He drove his teachers crazy. But we found out that he learned better by standing up. And I know a lot of the teachers are going to go, oh my gosh, Miss Paula at the library said my child could stand up while they learn. But he needed that grounding so that he could process what he was hearing and learning. And then he found other ways, more subtle ways, so that he could process things. How do we get them to answer a question about, stuff we read to them from the book? So let me pick a different book. First off, you can just start off maybe looking at the cover of the book and saying, okay, it's talking about Sonia's rainforest. Do you know what a rainforest is? If not, you can try to explain what it is. Just looking at the pictures, can you tell what this story might be about? Again, do you know what happened at the beginning of the story? What happened in the middle of the story? Or even reviewing after a page. So what happened on that page? And I'm talking more about storybooks like this one or this one. When you're in the early readers and things like that, there's not a whole lot of content, whereas something like a picture book like this, that you will do the majority of the reading. Oftentimes there's context clues. So look at this picture. What do you think they're doing? See that? Are they going for a bike ride? No. Are they going to the park? No. Are they going swimming? Yeah, looks like they might be going swimming. So different things like that. Does that answer your question about helping them answer questions about the stories? I can't see who that was. How can we get them to answer a question about stuff we read to them from a book? Dinah, does that help you? Yes, you can borrow these stories from the library, absolutely. So although we live in Oak Lawn, we can go into and participate in activities in Chicago Ridge Library, absolutely. All of our programs are available to Oak Lawn patrons. Anything that you see in our newsletter, whether it be a story time or one of our reading programs or checking out materials, using our computers, you are absolutely able to use those. You can go to any library in the system and use the materials. And we're happy to help. Can we borrow these stories from the library? Yes, absolutely, and please do. Anything else? Just want to make sure I answer everyone's questions, because I know towards the middle I got a little jumbled. I just want to thank all of you very much and thank you for your patience and understanding. I do look forward to meeting some of you when you come into the library. I'm not here full-time, I'm here part-time, but anyone here in the Youth Services Department is happy to help you. We have Miss Irene, who's our manager. We have Miss Sam, we have Miss Salima and Miss Nancy and myself. So we're all willing to help. And I would love to see all of you sign up for our summer reading program and for your child to earn lots of fun free prizes.
Thank you again so much, Paula. These were really great ideas and great questions from the parents too.
Oh my gosh, awesome questions.
And parents, thank you so much for coming in and signing in today and viewing this with us. Again, please don't forget to let your child's teacher know that you did attend so that you are credited for the workshop. But it was great to see such a huge turnout. So that was really nice to see. Hopefully you got some good ideas to go and try with your kids.
Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Peggy, for organizing this.
No problem. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, everyone, have a nice weekend. Enjoy the nice weather before it snows on Monday.
Absolutely. Take care now.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.